with brief one, we got given 4 creative packages. These creative packages, they were 4 different, completely different things. But we had to start off by, as you know, writing or doing a few examples for each one. Um, just so if for whatever one we chose, we'd have a starting point. And this was difficult because going into it, I really thought I was going to go and do your traditional pop music for FIFA or an advert. But when it came to writing this, I had no clue on where to even start. I was having problems, like I was having writer's block, and I just couldn't get any ideas at all. Um, but when it came to especially Creative Package 2, I was just really intrigued by how I didn't like open my the variety more and go, you know what, I'm not going to completely scrap this one and I'm going to have a go. Because when it came to writing the Creative Package 2 idea, all the ideas have just literally come so quick to me. I don't know whether it's because I've never written this style of music before, but really, really loved writing this, writing the example for this. So I decided to stick with this one when we had to choose which one we wanted to carry on. Before I even chose and even went into the examples, though, I went and looked at every single link, reference point, and really embedded myself in research um, on each and every one of the packages, as I just so I could get a feel of what the music was like, what and just how I think how I want to take inspiration from this piece and embed it in my own. So I went through, but still, after the research, I still couldn't get any ideas. But the best idea I got was Creative Package 2. So moving on from that, I got my starting point. And this starting point, I thought was really well, and I started the starting point by just getting a melody. I picked my key, I picked my tempo, and I picked my time signature, and I just put it on a 4-bar loop. I just put a set cycle for a 4-bar loop, and I just kept in the key that I chose. I just kept trying to put some notes together, and after about 10-15 minutes, I started getting the structure of my melody, and then after even more time of working on it, I ended up getting a good proper melody that I thought that I could work and develop around. So after that, I then started adding more instruments. And to start my melody, I didn't actually write on a string instrument. I wrote on like a trumpet or something. And then I thought, if I'm doing Edwardian, I've got to think about my style of instruments, my instrument choice, and the instrument family that I'm coming from. Because I don't want to go with brass instruments if I'm doing an Edwardian kind of feel, because that wouldn't be the right choice to pick for this. I don't want to go for anything electronic. So I went and I thought, well, let's go and try and embed myself in an orchestra style piece as well. So I've taken elements of being in an orchestra, using orchestra instruments, and so on. So before I even went and carried on with my piece, and I just had the melody. Before I even carried on, I made sure I searched the tempos. And for my reference, for this, I also started searching good film composers. Now you have John Williams, but John Williams I know he uses a live orchestra, but it's not the style of kind of film music I wanted to go for. I wanted to kind of go for more deep, darker, intense kind of music. So I went and did some research, and I looked for Hans Zimmer. Hans Zimmer is really good. He's an amazing film composer. And I just started looking at some of the songs that he did, what keys they're in, and what tempo he did his songs in. And as you can see here on the screen, he's done all sorts in A minor, F major, G major, and the tempos all they range. Like there's not one like stuck tempo you have to stick with, or it's just a vary. Like it goes from 80 up to 191. So and the same for the key. The key does not like literally one key that he's there. He's gone from a range. He likes to stick in the majors a lot, but also likes he also dips into the minors. So yeah, for me then that went. You know what? You don't have to go, and you don't have to just literally stick with whatever he's going. Just pick a key that you're comfortable with, and pick a tempo you're comfortable with, and go from there. So that's how I got my this website really helped me because it gave me the clarification that I could literally go and pick and do what I'm comfortable with basically. So then once I did a bit of research on the basics. I then went and searched a lot of orchestra music because I wanted to embed myself on what instruments they use and whether they do use some certain instruments but they hide them or whether they or how they play the instruments, the technicality of the instruments, whether they pick it or whether they play the notes legato or staccato, and these were all the factors that I was considering of doing in my piece as well. So I went on and did some research on YouTube for good orchestra songs and just relaxing or orchestra music, and this is what we got. And this YouTube video really helped me a lot because it showed me what instruments were being used and how different instruments can be used, such as the bass. If you add so much reverb and that onto the bass, it just makes it so like less processed, and that's for a lot of the instruments really. Adding reverb really like helps it flow nicer. But it also just shows like how whether you use a lot of low instruments of the orchestra, like a double bass or cellos, or whether you use like violins and that. So this really helped me with the instrumentation of my piece. But also with the structure of my piece, I wanted to kind of do with the sonata form, because instead of doing your normal form, ternary form, ABA, or just a normal traditional song, I thought with film music, it's different. You've got to be different. So I decided to go and be different and do a sonata form kind of way. And as you can tell here, we have the intro, and then we have A, and it has a slug. It's like structured as A, B, A1, C, A2, D, E, F, A3, A4, and outro. So I have the recurring section of A come up quite a lot of times in the piece, but I don't know whether you can tell it says A1 and A2. So this means I've used the A section again, but I've developed it from the original A section, so it's not boring, but you've still got that reoccurrence and that keep popping up of the A section, but just with a slight tweak to it, or with it makes it a bit different, so it can continue the piece on. So that really helped with this. Is really that's how I kind of got my structure down. I thought, let's just plough on and with this form, but if it doesn't work, we can try and do it a different way. But in the end, it worked really well. Then before I even so once I got my structure, how I wanted to do my structure, and I'll put my markers in here. I'll put my markers in at the top of kind of how long I want each section to be. I then went on and enhanced myself in so much hands in my music. This just helped with the whole of it really, of how he used his instruments, like the way they're played, whether did he layer his instruments on top of each other, um, how cinematic did he make his music. So this video really helped of me just enhancing myself in his music. And so on. So this really helped me. Obviously, I listened to a lot of his music, and it really helped me because it helped me. It just helped me, like, as again with the structure. It's a film. You can't structure it like as a pop song. It would be. It just wouldn't work. So this clarified of how I would want the structure to be, what kind of instruments I want it to be, whether I want it to be a live drum kit, or whether I want it to be processed. I know Hans Zimmer, I researched how he made his songs, whether it was a live orchestra like John Williams, but no, he actually used Cubase, and he's been using Cubase to he made a lot of his songs, film music, on Cubase. And he just really and he used processed drums. He used a lot of processed instruments, but obviously he used reverb to make it all, and he used a lot of effects to make, obviously, what the finished product. So moving on, I then enhanced myself in a lot of Edwardian music as well, just to see how I could incorporate that as well. So I have the modern interpretation of Edwardian and film music, but I also have the 1917 interpretation of it as well. Okay, so moving on, I also looked at so many Edwardian films. Even if I didn't watch the actual film, I just looked at clips so I could see, what am I actually going to be writing to? Am I going to be writing to a modern film that's got an Edwardian feel to it, or am I actually going to be writing to 1901 Victoria, actually how it was back in the day? So I looked at a lot of clips. I'm not going to show you, but loads of like these, and how I wanted to write my music. So I just had an interpretation of what I should be writing to and how it should fit that film. I also searched how Hans Zimmer wrote a lot of his work. So he had a diary, and he just kept loads of ideas in that diary. And then when it came to a piece of music, he then put his ideas that he got for that piece of music